Today in the bunker, we're going to make movement trays suitable for the frontier. After running a few games, in this case of muskets and tomahawks, I decided I needed some movement trays. So I went and looked at various vendors and figured out that these things cost money, and I don't have a lot of that. So I decided to just make some. So let me show you what we use. The two main ingredients are going to be medium weight chipboard, otherwise known as Wylock paper. And then also this EVA Fun Foam, these sheets. I get these at Michael's. They're fairly inexpensive. So altogether, you know, you've got probably 50 cents in one of these trays, maybe. The first thing is to figure out about how large you want the trays to be. For your troops that are going to be in close order, that's fairly easy because you just put the troops in close order and, you know, you can kind of go from there. You can figure out, oh, it's this many inches and this many inches. And in my case, I base everybody on 1-inch washers, but that also, a 1-inch hole also works for 25 millimeter round bases if you're basing on those. For the troops that are in open order, you know, are not in close order, then you can kind of figure out about how big you want a group to be. And you can make these in various sizes. This is a 8-man stand, but I've got them in 6 and 4. I've even got them as small as 2 for things like a drummer and a fifer, that sort of thing. One of the things I did for the open order troops was also round off the bases to make more of an organic shape, whereas the close order troops are all very squared up. You don't have to do that, but I find it kind of gives a better visual indicator from across the table. Oh, those guys are in open order. All right, we've cut out a piece of the chipboard that's approximately the correct size. We're going to round those corners off, and then we'll match that up with some of the foam. We'll cut that to fit the same shape. And I just use like EMT shears, but you can use kitchen shears or whatever sort of heavy cutting device. You can use an Olfa knife or hobby knife or whatever you're most comfortable with. So once we have our shape cut out that we like, we will cut out some of this foam to lay on that and match it. And it doesn't have to be super scientific. I just cut it out in a rough estimate of the size, and then I'll just trim it up to match and just hold it together because you want the two pieces to be separate until you're done punching the holes. All right, so there's our chipboard and our foam cut to match each other. What I then use is, in this case, is a 1-inch hole punch. I got this at Michael's, and I took the little trap piece off. The only downside of this tool is that you're limited by physically how far you can put the material, I don't know if I could just put it in there, into the punch itself. So it'll only go in, you'll get between the edge of the hole and the edge of your material, maybe a 1/4 inch or so. For most trays, that's not going to be a problem. And if you're clever, you could take and cut smaller pieces of foam and then kind of patch them into another piece if you needed to have somebody like in the middle. But this works really well. You just punch out that piece and it makes a hole. And you just lather, rinse, repeat for the number of troops that you want to be on that stand. One note on this hole punch and these little punch outs, if you make counters or any kind of status indicators for games, these are wonderful to glue those to once you've punched them out. I eyeballed the measurements. I got a little bit close right there, but that's fine. They don't have to be super precise unless you're some sort of like tournament player, which I'm not. So this is good enough. What I will then do is take just PVA and glue the underside, put that together, let that dry. And once that has dried, then I hit this with the airbrush using some fur brown from the Army Painter. You can rattle can it, you could brush paint it. It's very, very forgiving. then once that was dry, I just put some white glue on there and just hit it with a little bit of flock. You can put tufts. You could go nuts on that. I just wanted a bunch of these to be able to stack up, so I just put that grass effect on there and called it good. And it's not specific to any of my units. They're all kind of based differently, but it's close enough that it blends visually on the table. It looks pretty good, so I'll add some photos in at the end of some actual game shots using these. They're not super rigid, so one thing to be mindful of is, especially on the regular troops, there's 12 guys on there, you got to pick it up with two hands, otherwise it can bend and they'll fly off, and that's not great. But about 50 cents as opposed to $5. Yeah, I'll take it. And I've made a pretty good number of these for my games, probably more than I'll ever actually use at any one time. So it's a handy resource. It's just a fun project to sit down and do on a Saturday or whatever day you're going to craft, and just knock them out. It took me a couple of days, I think, to finish all those, a couple of sessions. So not a hard craft at all. All right, so I hope that was helpful. I hope it inspires you to make something awesome, and I hope you have a fantastic day.